warm welcome to one and all. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to the people who are joining us today from different parts of the world. We are about to begin our next section on the topic, what and how OT Cybersecurity is securing water treatment plants to all refineries by Mr. eluvangal. We are really pleased to have you here, sir, as a speaker in the RedTeam Security Summit 2021. Mr. eluvangal has 17 years of experience in power, oil and gas, healthcare, manufacturing, mining, IoT, and other critical infrastructure industry. We are glad to have such a wise speaker to render such informative talk. I welcome you all and Mr. eluvangal to this session. So you can handle the session.
Okay, thanks, Emily, for that wonderful introduction. So I would try. I would like to share my screen now. So let me know if it is
yes, sir.
properly
Yes,
visible.
sir.
Can you see my screen now?
Yes, sir, it's visible. You can start.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, everyone. Where you are located. So today I'm going to talk about why, what, and how of OT cybersecurity. And I'm very thankful to the Red Team for giving me this wonderful opportunity. And it had been like Red Team had been very proactive in considering the terms of OT cybersecurity. They included it from very first summit. And today I know in the fourth season there are more than I think 3 talks which was specifically focusing on OT cybersecurity. So, it's like kudos to the SRA team and JFL. Yeah. Going to the next one, it's means like I think Ambli had given a good introduction about me. So I'm not going to repeat. Yeah, going to directly to the current slide. Today we are going to cover like in the topic what is OT cybersecurity, why is this very important, and how we do that, right? And a little bit of one of the important challenge about the skill talent also will be included in the towards the end of my presentation. Okay, so to the setting the context, because I know that like the audience in this session are from different areas, and I'm not very sure about the awareness of the audience about OT cybersecurity. So I thought like I will include a very few slides, and it will be a very quick one to explain about what is OT or what we are talking about. I think there were some few sessions earlier today which might have already covered some of this, but yeah, I would briefly touch upon this. Okay, so I would not take much time. I would split like just 5 minutes for setting the context. So what is OT? So basically, you can think about a factory or a plant or a manufacturing units which makes soaps, which makes oil means petroleum or different kind of products, right? So when we think about a factory, manufacturing unit or something production, that is what is called as OT. Okay, and in each of those plants there is a process or we call as manufacturing process by which something is manufactured. Like in the picture, we can see a car is manufactured and there's a production line. Okay, and similarly there are water treatment plants which is for purifying the water, and that is being delivered to the to a city or for an industry, right? So there's a process, and this plant or the factory will consist of cyber physical systems, which is basically used to automate the process in the plant, right? So we had multiple versions of industrial revolution. Now we call it as industrial 4.0. Okay, and we started like from the very first industrial revolution. We started means like building the factories, right? And then slowly from industrial revolution 3 we started automating the task, right? So to automate the task, we have what is called as I call it a cyber physical systems. Okay, which facilitate that automation. Okay, and so this is an integral part of the critical infrastructure industry. Like when I call it as critical infrastructure industry, because not all this manufacturing are critical infrastructure. Like oil and gas is considered as one of the critical infrastructure, but not an ice cream plant. But even the oil and gas, we have this OT. So that is why it have become very important nowadays. Right? So yeah, okay. And I will just touch upon what I mentioned as cyber physical system in my previous slide. Okay, so what are those system that will be cyber and physical inside a plant? Okay, so the physical system you can consider as a machine, like I have given some examples like valve, a boiler, which is makes to steam inside a plant to move something, or it can be a motor to rotate something. Okay, it can be also some sensors like which can sense temperature. Okay, so all these are something we can consider it as a physical system. Okay, which actually do the task. Okay, and the cyber part is actually giving a control to those physical systems. So cyber is basically a logic which is run inside a computer and which operates this physical system. So you can consider two scenarios in which one is the motor operated by a person, means he switch on a, he will turn on a switch, then motor will start, he will turn off, motor will stop. So we can automate it using a computer program, right? So that is the cyber part. And cyber part nowadays in a plant will include servers, workstations, then it may have a lot of softwares and the key one called as SCADA and HMI. Okay, and there are a lot of embedded devices to control these operations, which are called as PLCs, RTU, IEDs, numerical relays. Okay, and some so there will be a network to connect all these different computer-based systems, right? So it may be a you can consider as an office LAN. Okay, so which connects all these computer, all these devices, and there may be some wires going from this embedded devices to the actual physical machine. Okay, so that is how that physical machine is controlled. Okay, so yeah, and now we are going to cover. So I believe that I have set a context about OT. Okay, now I would like to talk about OT security. So I for the better understanding, or for maybe my easiness, I have taken example of comparing a water treatment plant and a financial bank. Okay, so both are two different kind of units. Okay, the water treatment plant, it is actually to purify the water, okay, for a city. Okay, and financial bank, we know that we get loans, we can deposit our money in the bank. Okay, so so when I am deep diving into this security part of it, so the risk are different for both of these entities, right? So in a water treatment plant, the from a cybersecurity angle, the risk is basically if his screen is not visible where he controls the operation of the plant. Like I was talking about the cyber physical system. Okay, and there is an operator sitting in a room called as operator rooms. Okay, so he want to see the different parts of his plant, and based on the readings or data that is visible on the screen, he do some certain operations, right? So if that screen is non-available sometimes, okay, for some security reason. Okay, that is one of the highest risk. I have not listed down all the risk, but just an example to give you a better understanding. Okay, but when we turn on to the bank, the risk is a compromised password or an one-time password. Okay, or the OTP which is sent on a mobile. Okay, so this is the difference in the from a risk perspective for both the water treatment plant and the financial bank. Okay, as an impact, if something happens like that, so what is the impact? So if this you can imagine a water treatment plant getting hacked or attacked by some group, okay, and he is able to compromise the systems, okay. He even we can expect a loss of life, okay. And in the bank on the same time we may lose money, but we don't expect a direct loss of life, okay. And from a protocol angle, what are the differences in water treatment plant we can see when I'm specifically talking about the OT side, or the production side. We can see protocols such as Modbus, DNP3, IEC 103, 104, okay, which is not very common to maybe the majority of audience, I would imagine, okay, right. So this is very specific for this automation systems or OT, okay. And in the bank we can see at the same time like HTTPS, SMTP, POP, okay. So so there's a difference in the protocols which we see on the OT side and IT side, and also on the applicable cybersecurity standards like a PCI, DSS is something which we see on the bank, but in the sorry, am I visible? And can you hear me? Because I'm on the slide uh, uh, presenting, I
Yes, sir.
can't get any feedback, and I'm also getting a call. So yeah, I can hear it. I can hear you. So yeah,
Okay. So
okay.
you're
Because
visible.
yeah, I thought I getting a call maybe from the organizers because I don't have that number. Okay,
No, sir,
fine.
no, sir. Yeah.
I will continue. Okay, so this is the difference. Like in the standards, there is something called as IEC 62443, which is one of the popular one as on today, and getting more popular. People started adopting 62443, and there were some discussions for even the government of India to adopt or inherit from 62443 kind of a standard. Okay, so all the scenarios are different, okay. So we cannot treat the OT security in a similar way as we treat IT security, okay. And just to clarify one point which I've mentioned in the bottom, that OT should not be confused with IoT. IoT is Internet of Things, and an example which I have given is a connected car. So you have a car in which you have a lot of information which is sent to your car manufacturer, which will give you information on your mobile that your car is ready for a checkup, or means you have to send it to a service center. Okay, so this is example of an IoT, because the sensor send the data to the cloud, and based on some analysis at the cloud, they will give you a feedback for sending the car to a service center, right? That is IoT. But OT, from the same car perspective, you can see inside a vehicle manufacturing plant. So if you go to a car manufacturing plant, then you see OT. Okay, so there's a difference between IoT and OT, and lot of people I have seen confusing or misusing it. So I just wanted to clarify. And one additional information, you can see a lot of IoT being used in OT. Okay, because nowadays the plant, there are a lot of sensors placed inside the plant to just take this data and push it to the cloud, so that the management or the senior people can see a lot of additional information, or it may be also used for some analysis which will maybe optimize the process of the production. Okay, so IoT can be found in OT, but IoT and OT both are different, right? So I think I also covered about what is it about OT security. Okay, and in the next slide, I just wanted to highlight, or I just wanted to say that what I given an example as a water utility or a water treatment, what would be the impact? It is not a hypothetical case. It have happened. Okay, so this is something. If you were following the news on OT security, this is something which came up in August of this year. Okay, So a water utility which is based in Florida, which supplies water to more than 15,000 people, was somebody was trying to hack that plant. Okay, so so this is not hypothetical or a myth, but this is actually happening. And in this case, without going to very detailed in of time, but quickly, what was happening was the one morning the operator saw that his mouse pointer is moving. Okay, so basically he then thought it is okay. Means he didn't given it much attention, right? Then he went on, and then after some time again he saw the mouse pointer is moving and trying to click something. Okay, which was trying to set the sodium hydroxide or caustic soda level in the water. Okay, so the normal setting was 100 parts per million. Okay, but this guy was trying to set it to 11,000. Okay, so you can imagine. So caustic soda is generally used to set the pH level of the water, but if it was set to this much of like it is not 10 or 100 times, right, it can damage the tissue of the people wherever it touch. Okay, so such a so what was happening was the plant was using TeamViewer to take support from the vendor. If there is some kind of troubleshooting which was required, okay, then the plant will give a TeamViewer session to their vendor. They will come online and then they will correct it, or sometimes to view what are the different things happening in the plant. So employees also use the same TeamViewer. Okay, so somebody came in by that channel and he was trying to set that level, but the operator second time he took it very seriously, and he went on to see if it is a genuine TVR session. He found that it is not. Then he immediately turned it off and informed to the authorities. Okay, so this is already happening, and not a kind of a story which I'm trying to build, right? So, so I think I was able to give you a good idea of what is OT security, and by that I am trying to move on to the next thing, which I will try to talk about why OT security is important, or why it have become so much of a concerning topic. Okay, so so if you so how it have become important, or uh, why it have appeared in lot of this cybersecurity conferences, which was not there maybe 10 years back. Okay, so I would try to means like bring the Stuxnet thing in here, right? So Stuxnet happened in 2010, and it was that was the first time when the OT or the critical infrastructure security, okay, got a very important attention. Okay, before that, so then the people started thinking about the impact of such an attack. Okay, so Stuxnet happened for an Iranian nuclear utility. So then the people started thinking, so oh, it can happen in any plant. Okay, and if there is some production which is impacted due to this kind of attack, uh, there is a lot of dollar value loss, right? And it also can impact the life of people. Okay, so that is when the world started thinking about OT security in this much detail. But of course, there were a lot of other researchers and people who started awareness campaign on this much before that. Even from 2000, I can see in some of uh, the experts still very active in this world, in this industry. They started talking about in from very early, means from the 2000s, at that time, right? So so Saknat was a icebreaker, I would say. Okay, and so yeah, so because of this impact, people started to see that which should be also considered means like similar to other cybersecurity. And one more thing, one more change that have happened post 2000 was that, so before 2000, the industrial control system or the OT, what I initially explained about the cyber physical system, it was very isolated. Isolated sense, it would basically be used to just run the plant. Okay, but then now for business reason, people started taking the data out of that plant to the enterprise network. Okay, because people want to see what is happening, okay, at the very senior management level. Okay, because of like for example, if it is a pharmaceutical plant, how much production they, how much amount of medicine they produced on that one day. Okay, they might have one some target, and they want to see the actuals and the variance and all, right? So there are a lot of different reasons for which the data from the OT side was taken to the enterprise side. And this happened in like maybe around 2010. Then a lot of connectivity happened, right, from OT to the enterprise network. So that was the one important change which have increased the secure exposure of this OT systems, or the attack surfaces of the OT systems. Okay, then check that. Okay, so and then inherently the OT network was not very secure. It had a very flat network. It had the unsecure protocols, like I mentioned about Modbus. It did not have any authentication by itself. Okay, and lot of these protocols, like one example I was mentioning about DNP3. DNP3 was also an unsecure protocol, but the standard setting organizations who build that or who controls that DNP3 means started incorporating new security controls into that protocol itself. Okay, so the SOT protocols also have evolved, but conventionally it was not as kind of a secure protocol. Okay, and in this screen, what you can see are the some of the important attacks which have happened in the past. Okay, and yeah, and I am trying to find some patterns out of it. Okay, so yeah, so in this slide, I have the same attack. I have tried to classify it based on three boxes. One is targeted, second is ICS targeted, and third is non-targeted. Okay, targeted may be having a very high impact and normally sponsored by a nation state. Okay, ICS targeted are some of those malwares which can actually control the ICS devices. Okay, which can sit on an ICS kind of a device and make it malfunction, right? And non-targeted are like the WannaCry and NotPetya kind of malware outbreaks, which is not very specific for ICS, but it can impact ICS because we have some proofs already that WannaCry impacting even one of the energy utility in India. Okay, so yeah, so it's accidental. So I have classified it. This is basically my classification and my this one terminology: targeted, ISIS targeted, and non-targeted. Okay. So I'm trying to create some patterns. Okay. Then if you so in this slide, I'm slowly moving to the how part. Okay, how part in the sense. So I explained about what is OT, what is OT security. I also explained about why it is important and why have it attained so much of attention in this last 5 to 10 years. Okay, because of that, it was getting connected. People started thinking about the impact. Okay, then now I'm going to little bit touch upon the topic of how we make it secure. Okay, so from the previous slide, I will again try that animation. Okay, so we have targeted, ISIS targeted, non-targeted. Okay, so this is moving on the right hand side. You can see based on IEC 62443 3-3. I will take 1 minute to just explain what is IEC 62443. So, as we have 27001 and such standards to ensure the cybersecurity of enterprise system, IEC, which is International Electrotechnical Commission, or it was earlier brought by ISA. International Society of Automation, a standard so that the cybersecurity of the OT systems are also managed. Okay, so so IEC 2443 is a very vast standard. It covers topics about security of a OT system. It also talks about security of the devices which are used. It also talks about the development life cycle, secure development life cycle to be followed while we develop the products for OT. Okay, so it's a very vast standard. Okay, and one of the standard, or one of the what we can say, one of the pillar, which is 6443-3. Okay, talking about the security of the systems. Okay, so in the standard itself, they have given a kind of uh, uh, classification of the controls. Okay, if implemented, the standard is guaranteeing a certain level of protection or a certain level of defense for the organization. I would explain it again. So what we see it as SL1 and SL2 here. Okay, so SL1 and SL2, SL1, SL2, SL3, SL4 are controls, cybersecurity controls. So 3-3 standard define 100 controls. Okay, and the first 25 comes in SL1, second 50 comes in SL2, then next I think 15 comes in SL3, and 10 comes in SL4. Okay, so SL1 is the basic level of security, and if the organization has to move to SL2, then they have to implement all of the SL1 plus the controls in SL2. Okay, so gradually, if they implement all the 100, they will attain a security of SL4, and SL4 can actually defend the highest level of sophistication and the motivation which is involved in that cyber attack. Okay, so like that. But SL4, definitely it is too much of money involved, too much of time. Okay, so none of the organization cannot directly move to SL4. Means like in 3 months, 6 months, or even 1 year, right? It should be a long term plan. Okay, so the SL, from the previous slide, like at least the non-targeted attacks, which is most, I think, means like based on the risk of the organization. Okay, even if the organization is not a state-run organization like our oil companies, like government oil plants, even if it is not, this non-targeted attack can impact any of the manufacturing, right? So what I'm saying here is, I'm trying to say here is, at least to defend such non-targeted attack, which we can expect every day, right? We can expect a WannaCry or the NotPetya every day. Okay, so to defend such attack, at least the organization should target a SL2. Okay, which includes SL1 controls and SL2 controls. Okay, so this is, and based on the risk which that organization is possessing, like if it is a something like our ISRO or our nuclear, means like BRC, etc., then they should be targeting at a means much more security level, right? So this is what I'm trying to map. Based on the risk that organization poses, they should target the level of security. And if you go and read the 3-3, it will give the details. What are those different security controls? Okay, I'm not going to explain that 3-3 standard in this session, but just wanted to give that at a very high level, what we can do to secure OT security. Okay, so in this slide, what I was in the previous slide, I was trying to explain a strategical approach. Okay, strategic approach in the sense how we can secure an OT from a company strategy point of view. Okay, but here I will try to explain a different pattern. Okay, different pattern again from the attacks which have happened in the past. Okay, observing that pattern, what could be the best possible mitigations, or what could be the prioritized mitigation actions that should be taken. Okay, of course, it vary from company to company. We should have a proper risk assessment before deciding any mitigation actions. Okay, but I'm just trying to make a pattern based on the past, what have happened in the past, and then list out what could have been done. Okay, to prevent such attacks. Okay, so I am for that. I'm trying to take an example of one of the attack, which is Ukrainian power, which have happened in 2015, which affected more than 200,000 people, and it was believed to be a state-sponsored attack, right? So what have happened here is a phishing mail which stealing the remote access password of from an employee. Okay, so a phishing mail, an employee became a victim of that attack, and the password was compromised. Okay, then the Windows domain controller in the IT side, all of them, what I'm talking about, the IT side or the enterprise side was compromised. Then the attacker created a new account with admin privileges. Okay, from there he logged into the ICS. So now he is transferring the control to the ICS side. Okay, ICS means OT. Sorry, for using that ICS word here. So he then logged into the OT system and he watched what is happening on the HMIs. So the attacker here was not very aware about the OT systems. Okay, but he watched. Okay, then at a certain point, he took the control and misoperate all this process. He started operating and controlling everything. Okay. And once he did, he used the kill disk to wipe the servers. Okay. He wiped the hard disk. Okay. Then the operators of the Ukrainian power distribution utility was not able to see anything. His screen was like blank. Okay. Then what they have to do? They went on to when in a car they drive and went to all those unmanned stations, manually start the breaker. Breaker means like that is something which gives you power. Okay, if breaker is on, then you get power. Breaker is off, power, there's no power. Okay, then they have to go to each of the station and start the breakers. Okay, then they disconnected the computer based control. Okay, so this was a very serious one. Okay, and yeah, so why I wanted to explain this attack was to so if we observe other attacks as well, like the Triton or the pipeline hack for the colonial in US. Okay, so all of them we have seen that the attackers or the hackers are coming inside through the IT side. Okay, so their IT or the enterprise network, that is the first channel for the attackers to get inside, and from there they are getting into the OT side. Even the company which are infected due to WannaCry or the NotPetya. Okay, so initially their ITs were compromised, IT systems were compromised, and from there they will move on to the OT side. Okay, so this had been a major challenge, or this had been one of the major issue, or I would say one of the single reason or same reason observed in many attacks. Except I would also admit that in case of Stuxnet, it was not like that. It was a USB dropped maybe from a helicopter or from a plane flying over Iran, and some employee pick it up and plugged into the USB means drive or USB slot of a server or some system used in the OT. Okay, so that had happened in Stuxnet, so which is little bit different, but otherwise we can see that there is a it was coming from the IT side. Okay, so based on that observation. I have means I am listing down some of the quick priority or high priority mitigation actions or quick wins that organization can take. Okay, so many of you might have heard about the Purdue architecture. Okay, classifying into level 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. Okay, so definitely the organizations which poses a risk need to assess their network. Okay, if there is some issue, if it is not properly segregated from IT, there are not enough controls, they need to redesign and implement it. Okay, so that would be the first step in your organization should take, and that is the step most of them are taking, because based on my experience, I work for a company who makes this PLCs, the softwares which are used in OT. So I know that most of them are moving in almost the same direction, right? And so when I talked about the network segregation, there is another back channel like remote access for the, like I was explaining the case of Florida Water Utility, which use TeamViewer. So TeamViewer kind of thing are unavoidable, because sometimes to troubleshoot something, we need the support of the vendor. So they call in using TeamViewer. So secure remote access, we should have a proper secure kind of a remote access. Okay, so that the TeamViewer kind of situation can be avoided. So that is one another mitigation. And awareness. So the staff whose main business is to run the plant, okay, but they are very much responsible to because like I mentioned about phishing attacks, okay, so the staff should be given proper training, okay, not just the training means email. You might have also seen that a lot of emailers going every week, but much more serious training shall be given to the staff, okay, and also increase the monitoring and visibility of what's happening inside the OT network. We have a lot of visibility tools in IT network, okay, but that should be also implemented on the OT side and lot more. But I was just trying to touch upon these four high priority areas based on the pattern of attacks happened in the past, okay. Then moving on to my, I think, last slide. What is the one of the important challenge? There are a lot many challenges. One of the important challenge, and where Red Team kind of an institution or academy can play a good role, is the shortage of skilled resources. Okay, so what I have observed is that, even including me, there are two kind of ways people coming to this OT cybersecurity role. One is uh, the people who are already working on the IT security side, okay, they come to, they are given the training about OT, means like what we see in OT, and based on maybe they work as initially a network support engineer for OT systems, and so slowly they also understand the security concerns in OT, and then they become OT cybersecurity engineer and consultant like that. Okay, that's one part. Another is like an OT security OT person who knows the process, who knows how the system operates. Okay, he learns about cybersecurity. Okay, then he comes to this role. Okay, so these are the two means two things, two ways people coming into this kind of role. Okay, so because if one of them is missing, it is not full or complete, because and just an IT security person without knowing the OT scenario cannot directly go and work on OT side, because it is not same as he's fixing a antivirus in your laptop. Okay, that same approach won't work fixing a antivirus in a system running on the OT side. Okay, because I would just quick example. An engineer can restart a PC on the IT side. It may means maybe sometimes you have to take a shutdown, plan shutdown. But restarting a system in OT, even after a lot of planning, is very much of a risk, and getting a shutdown from the plant manager is a very tedious task. Okay, so these are the kind of different environment, and we should have that hybrid thing. Both knowledge is very much essential. And I also would like to focus your attention onto two screenshots. One is the OT cybersecurity competency framework, which was released by the Singapore CSA, Cybersecurity Association or something, which is a governmental body, explaining about the expected skills to work on OT side as an OT cybersecurity engineer or consultant, maintenance engineer, etc. So they have come up with a good document which was released very recently. Okay, all of them can get it from internet, which is publicly available. So which explains about the skills needed for such an engineer to work on this particular area, right? And on the right hand side, like maybe many sessions in today have explained about the skill shortage. So even in that skill shortage, GICSP, which you can see, is also very highly demanded certification. This is a information from the Indeed.com based on the job postings. Okay, so in that job posting, GICSP is also asked in more than 500 ads. Okay, GCSP, it is a very costly certification from SANS. It was 2000 USD when I took in 2014. Now it is more than 6,000 USD. Okay, so still then it means that there is a lot of demand and there is a lot of skill shortage. I just wanted to show that. Yeah. So with that, my session is now finished. And if you have any questions, I think we have just 5 minutes. We can organizers can. I cannot see the screen, so.
Thank you so much, sir. That was such an informative and wonderful session on OT cybersecurity, and we really had a great time listening to your experience and systemic words. I'm sure that our audience are overwhelmed by your session today, and we also hope to have your presence in your future activities. And now we can have a small Q&A section. So if anybody's having any questions, please feel to ask in the discuss box. So I think we already have some questions in the Q&A section.
Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, I can. I'm just.
Yes, sir. So we already have some questions in the discuss box.
Okay.
And if anyone from the audience have more doubts, please feel free to ask in the discussion box.
So I can see. I am trying to read the first question. If someone is trying to interfere water treatment operation or position, it's then to alert a security breach by stopping entire functionality and make the entire system into an alert system through securities. What kind of security must be? I think I'm not completely getting the question here, but I guess it is about the visibility part. How we can know that somebody is inside the network. Okay, so that is what I mentioned as my fourth point. We should increase the visibility, and there are some tools and there are some vendors which you can find, or they basically uh, work based on a principle called as deep packet inspection. They try to understand what is going on in the OT network. Okay, and then they raise alerts. Okay, so there are some companies like Clarity, CyberX, Nozomi, lot of them are there, which can actually understand the protocols used in OT and then they alert. So, which can be even integrated with the SOC, Security Operations Center, or some SIEMs. It's all possible. Yeah. Can you give an overview of 2021 US pipeline? So I took an example of that Ukrainian hack. It is again, it will take a lot of time to explain, but to be very frank, the US pipeline attack it actually did not wend it to the OT side. It was all on the IT and immediately, but the operation got stopped. The gas distribution on the pipeline was affected, but it did not really took on to the servers or workstation on the OT side. Okay, sir, kindly tell us some free resources, tools, pathway, website for learning SCADA OT because it's too expensive for OT. Okay, so there are some GitHub repositories maintained by some of the experts. Okay, which gives actually it's a kind. Okay, it's a kind of a directory. Okay, which gives you the links to almost all the important means knowledge available in the public domain. Yeah, it's there. I don't have that link handy. Maybe I can share it to the organizers later. Do we have any more question?
If anyone from the audience is having more question, please ask in the discussion box. Sir, I think that's it for the session. Thank you very much, sir. And I would also like to thank each one of you for the active participation in the event, and Mr. Moon Evelingal himself for spending his valuable time with us. So now we are about to begin our next session on threat hunting by Mr. Sanjit. And before moving on, I would also like to give a shout out to our community partners, Advisory Village, Coffee with RedTeam, Cyber Peace Foundation, Shell, Computer Science Society of India, DEFCON, CyberFrat, OWASP, etc. Our technical partners, our supporting partners, CAPFIT, Cyberdome Calicut, Government Cyberpark Code, GTech, and Prior2, and our tech partner, Thank the Boss. Thank you all. We will automatically move to the next section. Thank you so much, sir. That was a wonderful session.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thanks.